Cancellation. Call Wesley now for your free information kit. 800-814-1500. 800-814-1500. 800-814-1500.
You know the name, The Rick and Bubba Show. Join Rick Burgess and Bill Bubba Bussey every weekday beginning at 9 a.m. on News Radio 1440. Depend on it.
Here, of course, everybody, welcome in. There's so many things to talk about this morning, but we had, before this tragedy over the weekend, I had been in communication with Mr. Boyd, who had been down to the trial of A.C. Smith for the duration of the trial. He was down there, and he wanted to come up and just talk to us a little bit about it. I was somewhat surprised, but of the verdict, but it did come out Friday, and it is what it is. It is what it is. The jury found this young man guilty of manslaughter, not murder. But at the end of the day, though, I guess it really don't make. I guess it really don't make much difference. But a life was taken.
Absolutely.
And he was found guilty of taking that life. Anyway, good morning, William.
Hey, good morning, man.
Good morning. Let me get that down for you a little bit more. Right there. Okay, there you go. So, I don't have much. I wasn't there. You were there. I thought there were a lot of political. I thought there was a little bit of political grandstanding by our district attorney, but that's not my. He did his job. I guess he did his job. But I got some more questions for the DA, not involving this case, but another case. So are you satisfied with what happened? I guess it was done pretty fairly.
Well, first I want to say good morning. I know that the Big John and Deaf had taken the news stage right now. But, Alabama been in the news for the last month now on a national stage, the state of Alabama as a whole. From the cupcake case to the young lady down there in Auburn who they later found, where they found the car here in Montgomery. From Roy Moore to the first black African-American male to Ella Bell, Gregory Gunn, and now Big John. Now, like you said, there was a scheduled interview. I was supposed to be coming on today before the tragedy happened over the weekend. And I did attend the Gregory Gunn case. I've been following that case for the last 3.5, right at 4 years. And I'm here today because I'm trying to saturate the media. There's some stuff happening in that case that I think everybody in the state of Alabama needs to know. I'm not here to beat on the police officer, but I think overall, Montgomery does okay when it comes down to policing in a certain portion of the city. I think we still get the low end of the stick in our community sometimes. But nevertheless, it is what it is. There's some stuff, that kind of puzzles me, man. After being down there for 5 days, I heard some stuff. I heard a lot of evidence, and I want to thank, I call them the DAB team, D-A-B team, that's Daryl Bailey, District Attorney Bailey team, D-A-B. I want to thank him and his staff. And this case was not about bashing the police officer. This case was about, you had ABI, you had the prosecutor, you had the district attorney, you had law enforcement. They took a stand and they did the right thing against one of their comrades. Now, I think that two police officers who testified, and they was caught in lies, after lies, and these police officers are still on the Montgomery police force. And I think that the mayor needs to know he wasn't there. I think the police chief needs to know. People need to know of their what they actually have. You know, we have Greg Gunn boss on there who testified, and when the ABI called her, when she was called to testify, she came out there, and you could tell she staged. You know, it was a stage, it was a comedy show, and she went to justify why the record piece was not on his uniform while he was on the ground.
The video cam.
Yes, and how she pulled her weapon and how she did all this and said that's the way you shoot. You know, when you're on the heat of a fire, man, you pull your weapon, you just start to shoot. But she came and she staged and she popped it off and it fell on the floor. But they were trying to build a motive of the stage that the officer Cody Smith was in, to show that he was in the wrongful state of mind when he first gave his first statement, and they were saying that he was not in his right frame of mind 3 hours after he killed Greg Gunn. So how she know that he was not in his right frame of mind is because of the fact that when she saw his taser, the prongs had came from the taser. You know, when you shoot, I guess the prongs come out. And I'm assuming that at some point the prong goes back in. I'm assuming. But she stated that when she saw him, the prongs were wrapped around his taser. You know, like he was, like, and he had the taser back in his scabbard. Could you imagine a prong? And she went into detail how they were wrapped around. So she's saying that was not her police officer that she sent to work that night, because he was disoriented. So she was trying to say she knew something wrong when that's the first thing she saw. So the ABI, or the prosecutor, stated that how could you see his taser when we took the taser in as evidence? He didn't have a taser. They didn't make her look bad, but she went on there to testify that his taser, the prong was wrapped all around the taser, and she knew that he was like not in the right frame of mind because he was supposed to look like that. So would you think would you consider that a lie? If you have, I understand that she was on there trying to talk about, trying to save the blue coat, trying to save her police officer, but to make us, and the jury just looked at her, man, and how she came on and staged and popped the recorded device off of her jacket as though that's what actually happened when Cody Smith was out there. Now, Cody Smith, his own words, is the reason that he's in trouble today. Now, his first statement, and Daryl Bailey, and they kept hawking on this, but now I see why. They were kept talking about these two laws. Why did they stop Greg Gunn? Why was your recorder device, or why your camcorder was not on? All that stuff was working perfectly. It had been in the media that it was a malfunction here and there was a malfunction there. His equipment was working perfect. Matter of fact, 20 minutes before he came to our neighborhood, he had previously stopped the individual, and his camcorder and all that stuff were working. But after I stopped, I guess en route to our neighborhood, he turned off his camcorder. He turned off the dash cam. He refused to do that stuff for some reason, and this was the reason why. This officer had a reputation of chasing people. He was a young guy. He had a reputation in another neighborhood where crime was low. So they called themselves, putting him in the Mobile Heights neighborhood to work that area, because they received a couple of calls saying that individual cars had been burglarized and a couple of homes had been broken into. But they painted a picture in court like this area was a hot spot. This was the baddest area in Montgomery, Alabama. Everything go down over there, and they put this courageous officer over there. His job was to go over there and minimize the crime. And I stayed in that neighborhood, and in the way they painted the picture, I'm like, this is our neighborhood? What they talking about for real? But anyway, he had no reason, none whatsoever, to pull over Greg Gunn. His initial testimony, this is what he said. 3 hours, he gave a testimony to the ABI. He said when he pulled up, because they want to know why did you shoot and why did you kill Greg Gunn. That was the first question asked, because his mind is fresh. When 3 hours later, you know exactly what happened. You may be villain, but at the same time, you know exactly what took place. So he willingly gave a testimony. He said when he came into the neighborhood, he pulled up. Greg Gunn was walking to his house. So evidently, it came out in the court that it's a possibility that he saw Greg Gunn, or he thought he saw Greg Gunn 2 weeks prior. And whoever he thought it was, they got away from him. They ran, and they ended up getting the laptop. So he was in the area really looking for that person, because they were saying that he was kind of ticked off because no one get away from Cody Smith. Cody Smith was the young guy, boots on the ground. He gonna come after you. Now, whether or not he had the camcorders on while he was going after these people, when he was going after these criminals, on the guard, but no, I can only imagine. He beat Greg Gunn pretty much to death, and they asked him why. Why did you bust him in the head with the baton? Why did you have to tase him 4 times? What was the charge? What was the charge? While you were doing all this, what was the charge to justify all this stuff that you were doing? He said when he first got there, he told Greg Gunn to put his hands on the hood, and it was a pat down. When he said some stuff fell out of Greg Gunn's pocket, and he said a crack pipe, a cell phone, and Greg Gunn started to run. Now that's what his initial statement, and it probably was true. He ran. Just because he ran, he did not violate the law. So
if a man runs, though,
yes,
does that not give you probable cause?
No. Probable cause.
Okay, I'm just asking.
Probable cause is, what was the probable cause for you to stop me? I was walking. I'm just saying this because police have been getting away with murder, and a lot of people in jail today because they should not be in jail because of this consensual stop and these terror stops. Okay. So it clearly identifies. See, ABI did the right thing. So they asked him, why did you stop him? He was walking the street in his own neighborhood. Because Daryl Bailey flipped the switch. If I was a white man in my neighborhood, let's say Wynn Lake, and I was just walking the street, jogging at 4 o'clock in the morning, would you have just ran up on me, throw the lights on, and said, put your hands on the hood? That's what happened to Greg Gunn.
Is it true, though, what I heard that they said in that week, there were a lot of criminality in that community, and they were asked to up the observation, I guess, of those communities to make cars get broken into and things of that nature. And he was just they were on their lookout for people who possibly could be breaking into people's cars.
Okay, so look out. So that don't mean still you got just because it could have been me, and that's why I'm here today. Cause I stay in that neighborhood.
Right.
I could have been walking to my neighborhood, and he pulled up like that, like stop, put your hands on the hood. For what? What have I done? I'm 50 feet from my house. Why are you pulling me over? I would ask the question, why are you pulling me over? So while he have his hands on the hood, evidently, I don't know what happened, but anyway, Greg Gunn, maybe he feared that his life was in danger and he ran. When he ran, now, what's the charge now? Okay, they say he ran, but what's the charge? There's no charge. Just because he ran, there was no charge.
Okay, and I don't know if this is against the law to run from the police or not.
It's a little bit more. I'm just saying that's why. Yes, it's gonna be a little bit more. We'll talk about it.
We'll be back.
Where did all the blue skies go? Poison is the wind.
Your WSFA First Alert weather forecast on News Radio 1440.
Josh Johnson here. A bright, beautiful, and pleasant Monday underway. After a chilly start this morning, temperatures will rebound into the mid-60s.
Information Kid. 800-814-1500. 800-814-1500. 800-814-1500.
Rick Burgess, Bill Bubba Bussey, Rick and Bubba. Weekday mornings beginning at 9 a.m. Join the two sexiest fat men alive on News Radio 1440. Depend on it.
And welcome back, everybody. We are in the studio with us live, of course, as Mr. William Boyd, who spent 5 days down at the trial of A.C. Smith. A lot of things I still don't understand, but he is here to give us a blow-by-blow description of what happened at that trial, because I'm a little bit confused. The DA charged the young man with murder. The jury said manslaughter. My understanding, they actually came back to the judge and asked him a couple of things about that. You feel, though, that he should have been convicted of murder?
Yes, because Greg Gunn is not here to tell his story. People asking the question, why did he ran? And we don't know. We only heard what Cody Smith said, that he ran. We know he ran because the neighbor next door to Greg Gunn's mother's house, he said that's what woke him up. He heard bang, 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 banging on the door. So Greg was trying to get away. Evidently, he was in fear for his life. So he was trying to get to the closest thing to get some help. So something happened out there that only Cody Smith, the good Lord, and Greg Gunn knows what happened. We only heard Cody Smith's side say it, but Cody Smith never said that Greg Gunn struck him in his first two testimony. That he really killed Greg Gunn on the porch. First he said that Greg Gunn was going for a stick. He was going for the paint stick. Greg Gunn was shot twice in the back. First, then Cody Smith said, and when he testified, he said he shot Cody Smith cinemax, like in the front.
Mm-hmm.
He was not trying to kill Cody Smith. He said he tried to he did not try to kill Greg Gunn. He was trying to disarm him. 7 times in the torso. You tried to disarm him by hitting him 7 times, but he shot him in the back first. So the question, how he shot him in the back, then turned around and shot him 5 times in the front. They was out. They could have been out there tussling. He said he threw the baton or Greg fell or something. Greg was running for his life. Greg never struck that officer. The third testimony, after he went and got a lawyer, like I think Daryl Bailey said they tricked him, because the rumor was out that they thought they had some live, someone had this live on camera. They thought they had some video. When they found out that there was no video, then they turned around and they fabricated that story, man. They went out there to that site and they went from this point to that point, time and this. You know, they had almost 4 years to go out there and fabricate a story. They did that, and they tried to make people look bad who had nothing to do. But all the people saying, well, look, Greg Gunn was banging on our door, and we heard the big bang. But the first police officer who came on the scene. Mm-hmm. Now you got to remember, that's why I'm just saying this case was just blown out of proportion. The people who stayed next door to Greg Gunn, they were killed right there in these people's front yard. So you ask your question, how did he get in their front yard? He was banging on the door, like the people said. He was screaming for help. He was calling their name. Then they said before they got to the door, all they hear was bah, 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 bah. Okay? But when the first officer came on the scene, he said everybody in the neighborhood was asleep. He said he the one that knocked on the door to try to see what they said. They told this story in court. He said the first officer came to the scene. They were trying to see did anybody know anything. So they started knocking on doors. And Daryl Bailey like, you mean tell me all these gunshots? Yeah. And you mean tell me you the one so these people lying. Greg on it. So what if these people was telling the truth, that means something else happened. Because Cody Smith never. So
there were not two officers there during that night. I understand there was another officer there also.
They called another officer was out there on Al Bay Boulevard near Maxwell Air Force Base. He came running with his lights on. They showed his whole interview. He was like, 314, where are you? 314 never responded. Almost 12 minutes. What was 314 doing? 12 minutes wide. I'm talking the dispatch. Everybody was calling 314 because 314 had already made an announcement that he was in pursuit. But 314 never responded to the call. When this backup got there, maybe about 45 seconds for the backup got there, he had said shot fired. He had already shot. In my opinion, he had already fired those shots. And he was trying to make up on what happened. He was trying to make up a story. And when they showed Greg Gunn's picture laying flat on his back, now You see that baseball cap you got on your head? Mm-hmm. When Greg Gunn died, Greg Gunn had a baseball cap flitch in his hand. Now you got a man that went and grabbed a paint stick with the baseball cap, then swung at the police officer. The police officer ducked, like Daryl Bailey said, yeah, you had to be ninja. You really ducked. And you were like, oh, yeah. You know, they swung at you and you ducked because you Superman. You ducked and he missed you, then you came up and then you started shooting. That's what the police officer said. But the paint stick was on the ground on one side of Greg Gunn's body, and Greg Gunn had his hat. Why is the hat still in his hand when he's supposed to be gripping a paint stick? Do that make sense? I'm telling you, if I shot you 7 times, you still holding on to a hat?
Let me take a call. Good morning. Who's this?
Good morning, it's Rob.
Hey, Rob.
Hey, Kevin. I got 2 points. I think the determination of manslaughter as opposed to murder is proper because it wasn't premeditated. And that's just the difference between the two. One's a lesser form of murder. But I do have an issue with the police officer shooting somebody who's just running. Not placing anybody else at harm. That's all I have.
Okay.
Yeah, but now I'm gonna get with the manslaughter and the murder. In my opinion, because they tried to put a charge in for reckless endangerment, which would have gave them 3 multiple charges. It was the jury. Now, murder was on the table. Murder was the charge that they went for, and when the judge charged them, the judge said that they gave them charge. They could charge him with manslaughter. Even though murder was the charge, they could have charged him with murder. But it's all depending on, I don't know what the jury saw. I don't know, did they feel sorry for him? Say, hey, then he got on the stage and he was cocky, man. He was arrogant.
And I read that.
Because he was convinced that the story that they put together, see, they put together a story. And I was kind of weary. I was like, well, this is going to be a hung jury. Now, after he and Cody Smith take the stand, I'm saying to myself, yes, it's going to be a hung jury because his story was very, very convincing. And the prosecutor asked him a question. He was like, well, you the prosecutor. He told the prosecutor, you go to page 146 and find it for yourself. He was arrogant. This man, these people out here crying. And you end up being arrogant and cocky like you knew you was going to get off. And I think that's why I think he's going to get 20 years. I believe he's going to get the maximum because they fabricated that whole story. And they murdered that boy. Greg Gunn was murdered. And like they said, now put Kevin Eccles over there in the office of Cody Smith place. I put Greg Gunn over there. You think that if Greg Gunn had told the same story on how he killed the police officer, you think they would have charged Greg Gunn with manslaughter? If he had did the same thing and the officers were dead.
One of the things, something happened. Okay, so what you're telling me is that he stopped him for no reason.
For no reason, because he was black. He was a black man walking with a hood on in my neighborhood.
Okay, is it against the law for the police to stop you?
It's all depending on. They're doing a field interview. It's all depending. But you do not have, if you ain't doing nothing wrong, I think it's the consensual stop or they're doing a field interview. You really don't have to talk to the police. You say, hey man, I got somewhere to go. What you stopping me for? I'm being detained. I got somewhere to go. Why you stopping me? I don't have time to talk to you. I ain't doing nothing.
So, because I've often wondered, but by you not stopping, does that not give?
No.
Okay.
No.
I mean, I don't know.
If a police officer call in, they're gonna come with all that. Well, if you that stop and frisk, if you look like, well, it's all depending. But if what did Greg Gunn look like he was doing, walking the street at 3 o'clock in the morning? What did he look like he was doing? He was walking the street. I mean, he wasn't looking at nobody's cars. He was walking on the sidewalk.
So the story about so much criminality going on in that neighborhood that week or that time, that was not true?
They broke into my cars.
Yeah, I know they did. Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm saying is that the way they painted the picture, like that was Hail Mary, that was bad dag over there. And that wasn't the case. You got some good people to stay over there. So no, it wasn't that type of party. No.
Okay. Good morning, who's this?
Hey, good morning, y'all. Kevin, you just asked a couple of minutes ago, is it against the law for the police to stop you? Let me jump in and weigh in on that if I could.
Okay.
It is not against the law. But this is the thing, and you all talked about this when Mr. Britton was on there last week. There has to be probable cause. That's the most. Two of the most important words that a police officer could use. You can be walking up and down the street, and sure, they can stop you. They can talk to you. However, there has to be probable cause for them to detain you. And simply because they ask you a question does not mean you have to answer.
That's right.
They cannot generate probable cause either. It's a probable cause or there is not. You can't invent probable cause along the way as you go. Simply because a man walks up and down the street doesn't make him guilty. Being suspicious is not a crime. It's neither a misdemeanor nor is it a felony.
That's right.
Okay. Here's my thing, though. I guess who determines what probable cause is at that moment?
The police have to have probable cause. It has to be articulated.
Okay.
He either has to be committed a crime, in the course of committing a crime, or being suspected about to commit a crime. And neither one of those are in play. There is no probable cause. There is no room. There is no way that the police officer can legally detain anybody. Now, what they will do, they will continue to engage in conversation.
To try to make something on you.
They will continue to engage instead of saying, okay, let me just let this guy go. And this is the thing. They know what the law is. They know that citizens don't have to stand there and engage with them. But they will keep them there. Yep. They will keep them, try to invent sometimes. Probably a better word for that. But as long as they keep them in that conversation all the time, they're trying to trap them. They're trying to keep them up. They're trying to make them stumble into something that's not really there.
But let me ask you a question here, and I guess, and it makes me nervous to tell my son that if the police stop you walking down the street, you don't have to stop. You just keep going. You know that I don't know if I could tell him that. Because that brings up a whole litany of other issues.
This is the thing, Kevin. I feel the same way. I've got daughters. I'm a black man with black daughters, and if you think that they won't get stopped and treated the same way, you better think again. You better think again. So I've got nephews, I've got cousins, I've got myself that I have to be concerned with when I'm going along and taking care of my business.
Okay. Well, so y'all telling me police want to talk to you? You ain't got to say nothing to them. You just keep going.
You don't. Yes. You do not. This is the thing. When you're walking and they ask you for ID, remember, they are asking you. If there is no probable cause for them to get ID for you, you don't have to give it to you. Now, if they ask you your name, you pretty much got to give them your name. But if they want to see your ID just because you're out walking in the middle of the night, you don't have to give it to them. When you can find in the code book that it is a crime to be, outside of what it normally is being a black man, if you can find where there's a code saying that I can't walk in my neighborhood, in your neighborhood, in anybody's neighborhood in the middle of the night, when you find that that's a crime, then we all going to jail.
Okay. I guess I wonder if somebody asks you, if the police stop you and ask you your name, and you don't give them the right name, have you just then created probable cause?
Well, how they know you gave them the right name or not?
Because they get your ID. I mean, if you give them your ID, and that's not you.
Well, that's different now. It's probable cause now because you done lied to the officer.
Well, first off, they need to justify, number one, why they're stopping you. You don't have to engage in it. See, this is the thing, and I heard y'all mention it. It has to be consensual. If it's just a consensual stop, then that means that I have a choice. I don't have to stand there. If I don't consent to talk to you, if I've done nothing wrong, if you have not given me probable cause and articulated what that probable cause is, I'm going to kick rock. I'm going to ask.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Now, how they got Greg Gunn the third time, the fabricated story was when Greg Gunn put his hand on the car and they were frisking him, and then Greg Gunn struck him. Then now you got a charge for him for assault, harassment on a police officer. Greg Gunn pushed his hand now. Now you got a probable cause.
See, this is the thing.
Yes.
This is the thing. As long as they are able to maintain that interaction, whether it's consensual or not, as long as they're able to maintain that interaction, they'll find a way. They'll find a way. That's the sad part. They will find a way. Instead of knowing that These are police officers. So number one, you expect them to know the law. That they've sworn to uphold the law. So you expect them to know that. Now, once you assert the fact that you know the law as well, you expect them to honor the law. Okay, well, then I know I can't keep you. Have a good day, sir. Have a good day, ma'am.
Well, I got to tell you, though, you guys may be, hey, I appreciate your call. You guys may be right, but I cannot in good conscience to tell my 13-year-old.
Because you're scared. Because you've been
not scared, but respect. I got to respect
They disrespecting you. I'm saying,
I'm with you, but but you can always argue that later on.
No, Ken.
I mean, in my mind.
If you need to be out there trying to stop crime. Leave me. They stop me all the time. That's the reason I'm on here, bro. They stop me all the time.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a common thing. One day I'm going to say, hey, man, I don't want to talk. What I'm doing wrong.
Good morning. Who's this?
Good morning, Kevin. Good morning, Mr. Boyd.
Good morning.
I heard the conversation with the guy before me. It don't work like that. If you a black man and you walking, and I hear Kevin, I don't know what Kevin been. They gonna harass you and make you say something and say you disorderly conduct. They will beat you. They will. And see, when we try to tell Kevin, see, that happened when I was a young boy, but he don't want to hear that. We used to be just walking home, trying to get home, done been somewhat, not bothering nobody, wasn't breaking in nothing. They harass us. Now, who you gonna go tell, Kevin? Then you hear Mr. Boyd say, you got some couple police officers, and probably more than that, need to be fired because they got on the witness stand and they lied. Mr. Boyd, I want to thank you and Cliff Hunter and Larry and some of the people that you provided 3 or 4 vehicles, you gas, food, to go down there and see what was going on. It's a shame and a disgrace that this man was trying to go home to his mama, and they killed him. And I don't care what people say. They had no calls. 2 or 3 calls said they had no calls. Well, police officers think they can do anything, Kevin. And see, I have sons. My son have spent 20 years in the military, and they come home from time to time. But they nice-looking young men. They got nice cars because they working. If they hadn't stole them. But they look like any average black young man out there, like Gregory Gunn, and they're younger than him. I feel for my son. You don't feel for your and Kevin. You know, that's what you just said. But I don't think no police officer should stop a person without cause. Your call the other day told you the same thing. Mr. Boyd, you didn't mention, well, he just ran up and blocked him with the car with the lights on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I thought I said that. That was wrong. They scared him, and he did, you know, I know Greg, I'm like, what the hell going on? Why are you doing all this to me? He wasn't doing that. He was trying to go home.
Trying to go home to his mama.
So he can go to work the next day, man.
He tried to go home to his mama. His mama died from that.
And the police said he knocked on the door. He woke, and the reason they ain't turned the lights on because they ain't want to wake the neighborhood up. They ain't want to wake the neighborhood up. The reason they ain't turned the blue lights on. Yes, that's what the lawyer said. They ain't want to light the neighborhood up with lights, so that's the reason they ain't turned the lights on at 3 o'clock in the morning.
You know, it's sad that people
man.
Say, listen, it's sad what they did. It was murder. And I'm not going to talk about Big John. I don't know him. I heard a lot of people. But everybody say he was a fine, nice man. Even on the national news. It made national news. Only thing they say, he was a fine guy. And why would an 18-year-old...
I want to stick with the Gregory Gunn thing, man.
Okay,
that's another show there, man.
Okay,
yes,
but
man.
you know, we thank you for going down there and bringing them. I told Kevin they should have went down there. Kevin said, now he got a problem with Daryl Bailey about something else. I don't know what that is.
But I'll tell you.
What is it?
I can't say it. I'm not going to get into that one right now.
Well, but Kevin, see, the man did his job. At least we got something out of it.
Yeah, okay. I'm
we got something. Well, anyway, Mr. Boyd, we thank you and keep up the good work. And we need to get with the chief and the folk about those officers still on the force line and covering up for other people. I don't think they need no job. Okay.
Appreciate it. We'll be back. William Boyd's with us, our on-the-spot reporter from the trial of A.C. Smith last week in Dale County, telling us what he heard. We'll be back.
Wasted on the oceans and upon our seas, fish full of mercury.
Your WSFA First Alert Weather Forecast on News Radio 1440.
Josh Johnson here. A bright, beautiful, and pleasant Monday underway. After a chilly start this morning, temperatures will rebound into the mid-60s later on today. Tonight, mostly clear, 42, see overnight low. Tomorrow, clouds steadily increasing. A warm day. Tuesday's high near
800-814-1500. 800-814-1500.
News Radio 1440 is your home for the Rush Limbaugh Show. After Rick and Bubba, it's the EIB Network at 11 a.m. And it's only on News Radio 1440. Depend on it.
And we are back. Good morning, everyone. I guess it's Mr. William Boyd. He's with us. A lot of folks want to talk, so we are going to go back to the phones and see who is there. Good morning. Who's this?
Good morning, Kevin.
Yes.
You know, you really do a disservice to the community when you let uneducated people get on and tell stories. To begin with, you don't have to have probable cause to stop.
You sound like an uneducated fool right now. So now you got uneducated callers
Can I
calling
speak,
in.
boy?
No.
I've heard you for a long
Now
time.
you have uneducated callers calling in now. See. Now you have now your side of the story is going to be true. Now you have uneducated callers calling in now.
Boy, you're ignorant.
See,
one, you can stop somebody. Can you listen for a minute, Kevin?
I'm listening.
You can stop somebody under what they call reasonable suspicion and ask them questions.
But you do need to be able to,
about, boy? You're stupid.
But you do need to be able to articulate that reasonable suspicion, right?
Reasonable suspicion. It was what Stop and Frisk was founded on. You can stop them and ask them questions.
So why you
don't
stop
have
Greg?
to have probable cause. It's the same stuff that folks had the other day.
Why you stop Greg Gunn?
You can't stop somebody. You can't stop
Why you stop
somebody
Greg Gunn? Why you stop Greg Gunn? Why you stop Greg Gunn?
I don't know.
Yes, you do.
said the
You
man
sound
ought to
not.
get 20 years
Now you
because
sound
Greg Gunn
now.
ain't here, but you seem to be
Now
able to
you
speak for him.
now you sound like an
You seem to be
uneducated
able to
fool.
speak for a
Now.
dead man,
You know what I'm saying? Now you need
here's
to
something.
go listen to yourself now. See,
Okay, now both of y'all can't talk at the same time.
That's the
Two
reason.
police officers perjured himself, right?
You the same man gonna say what?
Did he accuse two police officers perjuring themselves?
I said they got on the
Do
stand.
you know what the penalty for perjury in a murder case is for a police officer? Do you know, Kevin?
No, I don't.
Why don't you ask a lawyer? Why don't you ask somebody with a 10th grade education?
See, he sounds like an educated fool.
Hey, appreciate y'all going to disagree on that one, but
Yeah,
let's go to another call.
But Kevin, that's why Officer Cody Smith is in the situation that he's in, because he's been listening to stupid people like that person right there. He gonna make an arrest. The one that just called in, that man got some problem, man. I'm telling you, he got some serious problems, and I think he need to be evaluated.
Good morning. Who's this?
Good morning, Kevin and William. How y'all doing today?
Fine.
William, got a question for you since you were there. You know, my belief is that the policies and procedures of Montgomery Police Department led to this situation. You were there for the trial, and one of the things, and I want you to confirm or disprove this based on what you heard. Officer Smith said on testimony on the stand that he was instructed by his supervisor to basically stop every single person that was walking and question them. Is that correct?
You absolutely right. And she gave him some. And then when she got on stand, she said that ain't what she said. Because she knew she had gave him some wrongful advice, and she knew she had gave him some illegal advice. But she changed her testimony when she was cross-examined.
You know, literally within 48 hours of the shooting, the police mandated 2 patrol officers in every vehicle in that section of town. Because they understood how dangerous that area was with the crime, et cetera. Maybe it was a response thinking they were afraid if they had police officers over there, it could turn into a Ferguson moment. I don't know. I don't want to ascribe motives to why they changed the policy to put 2 police officers in there. But if in response to this, they did put 2 police officers in a patrol car, that's an understanding. That's a confession saying we were putting police officers in an area where they
Your WSFA 12 News Update on News Radio 1440.
Good morning. I'm Tanya Terry in the WSFA 12 newsroom. The suspect in the shooting death of the beloved sheriff of Lowndes County is in jail this morning. Sheriff Big John Williams dedicated more than 40 years of his life to the people of Lowndes County through his service. The suspect, 18-year-old William Chase Johnson, is in the Elmore County Jail. The Montgomery County Sheriff's Office confirms he is the son of a Montgomery Sheriff's deputy. New developments in the case of missing 19-year-old Anaya Blanchard. Auburn police made a second arrest in connection with her disappearance Friday night.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Listen, I guess it's from we get an eyewitness account of the trial of A.C. Smith. It was February 2016 when Greg Gunn and Officer Cody Smith met each other. And we all know what happened. After that, Mr. Gunn ended up dead. Aaron Cody shot him. I have contended since that day. I was not there. I don't know what happened. Neither was the jury, but they took the evidence that was presented to them and reach, I think, what they feel is a reasonable conclusion. Not murder, but manslaughter, but it doesn't really make much difference to Mr. Gunn. He's still dead. Mr. Boyd is here to relay to us some of the things that we heard. Some of the things that we heard had nothing to do with the trial. But rarely do you get this kind of, insight into a trial by anybody. So I want to thank Mr. Boyd for coming up, telling us about this. And listen, reasonable people can disagree, but the only thing that mattered was 12 people sat in the jury box.
He was, believe it or not, that man was guilty. He was guilty in 1 hour. They probably had to call the people back in the courtroom. He was guilty in 1 hour. It was when I was reporting, it was pretty much an open and closed case after Cody Smith took the stand. So my thing is for people like the lottery man, Don Lottery. I ain't know that's the one that used to be a bit up there at the Rose Supper Club with hanging around all the black folks. I listen to you when I go to Birmingham on a Wednesday. And I hear him. He called in every morning with all that rhetoric. I just don't know why he is so full of hatred, but that's the reason Cody Smith is in the position that he's in today, because you got white people out there that like that. You know, he called in and just keep up all this hatred. I'm just calling it like I saw it. The only thing I'm saying is that only thing Cody Smith had to do was to turn his camera on. They was working properly. He decided he made a decision that night that I'm not going to turn my camera on. I'm gonna handle this myself. I'm going to handle this.
Now, I thought the cameras automatically came on.
I don't think his lawyer said he had to reach down and all this complicated and do all this, and he would have lost. He had the suspect.
So the cameras don't automatically come on?
You got to hit a button. Just slide or hit a button.
Now, is that for the car camera or the person?
Dash camera on the car, just hit the button. On your.
So neither camera was on, the dash cam or the body camera?
He chose not to do it. It's a reason why he chose not to do it. He was going to handle that himself.
But I thought it was a law you turn the camera
he did not
or
follow
SOP.
Procedure when it came down to because he was going to handle that situation himself. And he did.
Good morning. Who's this?
Hey, good morning. Good morning, William.
Good morning.
One question that I thought of when I heard the news. Were you surprised that the verdict was that short? I mean, as far as the jury consultation time was that short?
Absolutely not. At first, when I noticed the jury makeup, I saw some whites on there that looked like they were some Trump supporter. I will agree because you got to watch it.
What's up?
But I was watching. But yes, I was not shocked. You know, that's the reason I had put on my Facebook page Friday morning that they would get a verdict today, because it was just the evidence was overwhelming.
It was that obvious, yeah.
Yes.
And I tell you, I'm enjoying hearing your show, and I appreciate you being on it. Boy, you were right on the money that guy needs some sort of racist management treatment or psychiatrist visit to get his blood levels back to normal.
You're talking about the guy?
Yeah. I know all black people ain't mean, all white folks ain't mean, but that one, I don't know why he do what he do. That's
He does it every time he calls.
Yes. Yeah.
There's a slant to it, and as far as I'm concerned, if I had a vote, I'd say ban him.
Well, I appreciate
I heard
because this guy here, he was a good juror. See, all white people's not bad, and all black people's are not bad, man.
I know. I met you before. It's been years ago.
Okay.
But
So it was an all-white jury.
Yes, no, they had 4 blacks.
Okay, had 4 blacks. Okay, somebody said it was all white.
No, they had 4 blacks on the jury, and the fact that when Cody Smith took the stand and I started to cry. I felt sorry for Cody Smith when Daryl Bailey he let it go. You know, that when Daryl Bailey took the stand, and I know it was hard because, you know, Daryl Bailey's supposed to, you know, stand with law enforcement. They're all the big law enforcement family, but at the same time, he had another responsibility of standing on right. And I think he did, and I know he did the right thing because this guy would have got away with murder if they decided not to prosecute this guy. All the evidence was there that a crime was committed from day one when he first opened his mouth. And I think that if I was his lawyer, but due to the fact that they thought they had some video, some live.
Right, but you seem to think that murder
yes.
was the appropriate charge. I seem to think, given the evidence, that manslaughter was probably the best they could do, because to say murder means that somebody premeditated to kill somebody, and I just can't think that a young man would get up that morning
So you got to know all the facts. The fact, if that was Greg Gunn that he said he saw 2 weeks ago running, okay, so next time. It's all depending on how you look at it. But murder... Yes, so next when he made a decision to turn his camcorder off, come on now. I will ask that. So that's the reason they came with... Yeah, he murdered. Yeah. That's the reason that... But we'll let manslaughter be a less of a charge. We got to get something, because he killed this dude. Now, you can call it murder, you can call it manslaughter, whatever. But he got away with murder, so he should get the maximum penalty for manslaughter because he got away with murder.
Okay. So we are absolutely sure that he didn't forget, in the heat of the moment, you actually believe he purposely didn't turn on that camcorder for a particular reason.
Absolutely. Greg Gunn, did he turn around and say Greg Gunn swung at him with the paintbrush? Greg Gunn had a baseball cap in his hand. So what really happened? We would never know what happened, but we know what did happen. He killed Greg Gunn.
Good morning, you're on air.
Good morning. Good morning. I mean, I know there's a lot of tension between the black collars and the white collars. But if you just stay to the issues, this is how it's anyway. If you stay to the issues, where we can keep things more on a civil basis. I know we talk about strong issues, but if other things out here in our society too that need to be addressed that in our culture that is being overlooked in the black neighborhoods in our defense. But the only way we're going to get there is we can keep ourselves in a civil manner, because I can see right now we are under attack, and that's just my opinion.
And I hear you, but most of the attack, and I guess this is my one big deal, and you're probably going to say it's not the same thing, but every week, brother, we killing each other in our communities, and nobody has this kind of passion to hold them folks just as accountable as we want to hold Aaron Cody Smith.
Well, I tell you one thing, you know, I've been out there a long time, and I don't care. I have a concern about crime in my neighborhood, in my community, man. I done took a stand, but I raised my kids right. You know, just like the officer, the guy that killed Big John last night. You know, his father was a law. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know what an 18-year-old riding around with a weapon for. You know, I try to raise my children right. So this parent.
I guess we got a lot of problems.
You know, so this parent. So you can't blame. You know, you blame. We can put the blame on anybody, but how are these guns getting into the entire neighborhood? You know,
we bringing them.
Who's we?
It doesn't make any difference. I mean, somebody bringing the guns to the neighborhood. I mean, it's not that they're just falling from heaven.
Right.
Somebody's buying them. Somebody's bringing them. So I mean,
crime is gonna always be, man. As long as they got guns, they have weapons. I carry a gun, and you know, I don't want to have to kill nobody, but I would kill somebody. They got to be in my house. Trying to harm somebody in my family, man. We got problems.
Good morning, you're on air.
Hey, first of all, where are they getting the guns? Well, a lot of people, and I'm sure people that are listeners that leave their guns in their cars, and they're breaking in their cars and stealing guns. So I'm for the Second Amendment. I'm a responsible gun owner, but let me tell you right now, if you don't report your gun stolen that's used in a crime, you need to be held to account for that, first of all. That's just being a responsible gun owner. And that is a serious problem in this town. I mean, I know many people who've had guns stolen out of their vehicles. Those things end up in hands committing crimes and killing people. So I'm saying right now, if your gun's used in a crime and you haven't reported it, you should be held to account on that.
Mm-hmm.
Second thing is, and there's no reason for Mr. Gunn to be shot. But but let me just tell you right now, the gentleman was on drugs. That's a confirmed fact. The bottom line is, don't do drugs, okay? If you're on cocaine and you're running from the police, bad things happen, okay? I mean, just bottom line. And that has been a crutch for the black community and a lot of white people too, that has destroyed the community. And I'm not saying it wasn't produced by the CIA and pushed into these communities, but I'm just telling you right now, that stuff's poison, man, and it's killing people. And I'm telling you too, marijuana.
Let me ask you. Let me ask you a question. You said Greg Gunn was on drugs.
Yeah.
What was he on? I'm just saying. What was he on?
Well,
and
there
how
was
much?
there was testimony that said he had been doing cocaine with Greg Gunn, his brother, or something like that.
Let me ask you a question. Is alcohol a drug?
What's that?
Is alcohol a drug?
Is cocaine a drug?
No, I'm asking you a question. Do you drink a beer on a football game?
Yeah, but I don't go out.
No. Wait a minute.
I don't know what there's no comparison to cocaine and alcohol. You can drink a cold beer, but it doesn't mean that you can get shot by a taser 3 times and continue on.
So you mean tell me, I just saw some people that drink alcohol that go out and kill people.
Oh yeah, hey man, it rages people.
Wait a minute,
out. Marijuana rages people out. Cocaine rages people out.
So what
I'm just saying he was on drugs.
So if if he was on drugs, kill him. So Greg Gunn was on drugs.
No, I didn't say that.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
Hey, look, brother, I did not say that.
What are you saying?
No, you put words in my mouth. Let me say what I got to say now. I said there was testimony he was on cocaine. He had been doing cocaine, okay?
Very little.
All I'm saying
it was cocaine in his... Wait a minute.
Cocaine,
let me tell you what the medical...
You do a lot of cocaine.
Let me tell you what the...
That'll raise people out, and they're out of their heads.
Let me tell you what the medical expert...
Hey, look, I'm not justifying the guy who got killed. I think if that I'm one of those people that says if the jury says that the gentleman, A.C. Smith, killed somebody and they say that he deserves a manslaughter charge and being found guilty of it, have at it. But I'm just saying I'm just telling you just as a fact of the matter, doing drugs and running from the cops and all that stuff, bad things happen, man. And I'm just telling you, and I'm not trying to equal alcohol, it's cocaine and marijuana. I'm just telling you, you don't run from the police, first of all. And you said that you called in Kevin's show earlier, and you said that specifically, said he should not have run. He'd be alive, and A.C. Smith would still be.
No. That is not what I said.
You called Kevin's show, and you said if he hadn't run, he'd still be alive.
Okay.
Did you not say that? Kevin's show last week.
I do not recall saying that.
Well, then, man, I'm telling you, I specifically was in drop my kid off, and you specifically said that if Greg Gunn hadn't run and let the cop do his thing, then he would be alive. That is absolutely true.
Okay, I'll talk about it on the next
Hey, gotta take a break. I appreciate it. We'll be back. 860-1440 is the number here. William Boyd's with us, coming in, giving us a point by point on the trial of Aaron Coley Smith. Now, we don't normally get this kind of information, so it's an interesting story. We'll be back.
Your WSFA First Alert Weather Forecast on News Radio 1440.
Josh Johnson here. A bright, beautiful, and pleasant Monday underway after a chilly start this morning. Temperatures will rebound into the mid-60s later on today. Tonight, most...
Drill. Cordless.
Okay, we are back. Well, we're going to go back to phones. Man, I tell you, we got to put this on the podcast so I can hear this later on. 860-1440 is our number here. You want to give us a call? Our guest is Mr. William Boyd, who's just given us a play-by-play of the trial. And we also, our prayers go out to Big John, the sheriff of Lowndes County. I did not know him, but of course, we got the rest of the week, and we can talk about that too. Although I don't know if there's anything we can do like this. There's nothing we can do. But send our prayers and condolences out to his family, our neighboring county right here. It just amazes me how an 18-year-old can do such a horrific thing at such a young age. I will never understand that. Good morning. Who's this?
Kevin.
Yes.
That last caller, I just have a question. Why do they always do that? Instead of them thinking about Gregory Gunn, they want to attack his character. They always do that. What does drugs have to do with anything else? Whether he took drugs or not taking drugs or alcohol, he tells worrying about that. And then, like, another thing, I agree with William that it was murder because, from my understanding, that first shot was in that man's back. That's murder, point blank. When you shoot somebody in the back, regardless of the circumstance, that's murder.
That's right.
Well, now that's and again, that's not totally true.
No imminent threat.
If somebody is imminent danger to somebody else, you are authorized to do it to do a shot.
But what was the danger?
Yeah, I'm just saying.
And they were facing the other way, going the opposite direction.
Yeah, I'm saying it's not for every situation. I'm just saying, but there are needs sometimes to stop somebody from doing something to somebody else.
What was he doing?
I'm not saying that.
The caller right. I forgot that. Yeah, he shot him in the. Greg Gunn right in, man.
Yeah,
he shot him in the back.
Yeah.
And they bought drugs, and they did bought drugs up. But the medical examination said, Greg had a little cocaine in his system. So what if he has some cocaine in the system? He wasn't committing a crime. He had cocaine in the system. People drink, they smoke marijuana, they do crazy stuff, but do that justify them being killed? No.
Good morning. Who's this?
We don't have to rehash the case, do we? Good morning, the two of you.
Good morning.
Yes.
We don't have to rehash this case, do we? This is disgusting. Hearing people talk the way that they're talking about a deceased person. He didn't try to do anything to the police officer. Why am I hearing all this evilness on the telephone, on the air this morning?
Again, that's why
evil.
Well, that's why I brought
it's absolutely evil the way that people are talking about a human being. I don't care if Greg Gunn would have been a prostitute on the east side of town. He didn't deserve to be shot down like a dog. We have been very tolerant in this city as black people. And some whites, too, that don't like what's going on. And it's time out. It's time out for all of it.
Yeah, but the real reason I came on...
The city of Montgomery needs to get their bank, their checkbook ready so they can go ahead and give the... It's not going to be like the other case. You're going to give the people financial benefits from the death of their relatives.
You know, one of the things I thought about... One of the things I thought about doing this whole trial was the Whitehurst family. And everybody knows what happened to that one. Everybody. People in New York know what happened. And yet
that's what I'm saying. Yeah. And we know that things didn't go right, and we sat back and we let folks get away with it. But you know what? You talk about intelligence. His brother represented that family. He was a very intelligent, speaking person. You didn't see a lot of anger, you didn't hate or anything else. So I want to commend that family for keeping it together for this entire time. But please don't give up. Huh? And please stop calling on this radio spewing hate, okay?
I appreciate it. It is 8:32 in the morning. Good morning, you're on air.
Blessing to you. Thank you, Mr. Boyd. I want to say thank you for you. And the people that did go down, I wasn't able to at this time. But I want to say this also. People need to stop sitting back and hoping somebody else do what needs to be done here in Montgomery, Alabama. You don't have to be out there in the street. They came and got me out my yard when I walked out the house and told me in a mental institution. But God fixed it. So a whole bunch of men that was suffering got out. But when people sit back and say, well, it ain't happening to me, so I ain't going to shut my mouth. What's going to happen when it do come to your door and nobody's there to speak up? You letting the city council do things that's illegal, and you sitting back. Ain't no way in Montgomery, Alabama, Mr. Boyd, we should have 2 city councils meet every month, and both of them at night. We're paying their salary. Okay? don't sit back in Montgomery, Alabama, or nowhere in the universe and say, well, it ain't me, so I'm going to shut my mouth. Because one day, when it comes to your door, ain't nobody going to speak up either. Okay? Thank y'all, Mr. Boyd.
I appreciate it. One of the things we heard, Mr. Boyd, is that the officer was struck. Was there any evidence to prove that AC was struck?
That's how AC and Greg was in a struggle. And, you know, at night, at 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm quite sure it was cold. The ground had to be kind of moist. They were saying that if they was on the sidewalk, if you look at the area where they were struggling at, there's a lot of dirt, a lot of debris in that area. And then they showed pictures of his uniform. They took pictures 3 hours after the incident, all sides. There was no dirt on the man's uniform to justify that he was in a struggle. It was a struggle, but he was whooping the snot out of Greg Gunn with the baton. He would take. That's why Greg Gunn was running. That's why the neighbors said when they heard the beat on the door and someone was out there calling their name. So I really, and then for the police officer to come out there to try to justify, I did thought about the Bernard Whitehurst case, but something this need to be addressed. Those police officers, they need to be reprimanded. They need to be suspended. They need to be held accountable as well, because his boss gave him instruction to go out and stop everything that was every swinging Richard.
Do you blame? And I agree with you. We do have a constitution, and I understand. But do you understand that also people? Can we prove that there were a lot of calls into the police department about the criminalities going on in that particular time? Was there a bunch of crime going on over there?
I had somebody going into my car,
right,
on camera.
Right.
You think
I remember that.
You think the police came on there and said, "Let me see your camera. Let me get the footage." Really?
They did.
Bro, I put a $5,000 reward out for the people who broke into my house. You think the police officer came on there? Let me see. And when they did
you get the money up?
No, they ain't never catch nobody. You think they're really you think the police are really concerned about somebody breaking into my car? Really? Come on now, I still got the footage. It's out there on YouTube right now. They broke into my house in my car.
Good morning. Who's this?
Hello. Good morning.
Yes.
I got a question or two.
Go ahead.
My concern is, how come several of the callers, including yourself, seem to agree that it's the victim's fault, and that basically he did something wrong by being there, and by being black, that was boiled down to, and being in the wrong neighborhood where there's crime going on. But that's not against the law to walk in your neighborhood. Second thing is, how come we have a tendency to have people call in, and you seem to agree with them, that the killing of blacks on the street is the same as the police officers killing them. That it should be no different. There is a difference.
Should there be?
Whatever it boils down to, you're saying that every time you bring up a police officer killing someone, we bring up with the blacks killing each other in the street.
But because I don't understand, I do not understand the attitude. If we do it every day, it's not the same if a police do it once or twice every couple of years. It's a big deal. But aren't those same people still dead?
Yes, it is, but you got to deal with the ones that are alive. The ones that killing, like this guy, he may come back out and get another job and kill somebody else because he's getting a slap on the wrist. But you see, the guy that killed somebody in the street, he go to prison. So
sometimes
it's two different cultures being trying to merge into together to blame one, and it always points to the individual that's not the police.
Mm-hmm. Well, at the end of the day, the same consequence. You have people who are killed needlessly.
Yes.
And I just happen to think that my life is just as important, my child's life is just as important, whether or not he's killed by the police or he's killed by a thugaloo. It's the same thing to me.
At the same time, we need to address them separately. And at the same time...
But we're not addressing it. We're not addressing it. Something's wrong. Just last night, night before last, night before that. I mean, it's every day.
Of course, and we spend a lot of time trying to explain why policemen, the police officers, have a state of mind that day, he's running away. He's running toward me. He cussed me out, and I shot him. It's the same thing. It's no different between a guy in the street and getting an argument over a beer and kill him. They both were guilty of murder.
Yeah, yeah.
Manslaughter. There's no intent for him to shoot him in the back. There's no intent to prove. There was proven that he had any intent to attack him verbally, besides verbally. But police officers that in that mode of thinking have a tendency to believe that when somebody talks back to them, if they're blank, they're wrong. They need to be shot.
Again,
our black boys should be taught how to deal with the police.
And I totally agree with you. Now I'm going to tell. Again, I may be wrong, but I'm going to tell my son. The police say stop you. Listen, I may be wrong, but stop and answer their questions. I don't like it. I defended that Constitution. But again, we can argue in court later. I don't want to bury my child because some police officer said that he was suspicious and he was running away. I just have to let that one go.
And I agree with you with that, because in the 60s when I was out there in the streets and black people was marching against everything, we told our black boys how to be arrested. The bottom line is they got the gun, you sit there unarmed and you mouthing off at them, and then there's a time when they push your button. They come in and call you boy, nigga, and stuff, things like that.
Yeah.
To get in a confrontation so they can shoot you.
Yeah, but I don't believe that the environment of law enforcement is anything like it used to be in the 1960s. At least I'm hoping it's not.
After dark is on.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Hey, appreciate your call. Good morning, on there.
I guarantee you, what happened then is coming up again. Have a good day, my friends.
All righty. Good morning. Who's this?
Good morning, fellas. Morning, Mr. Williams.
Good morning.
Morning. There seems to be a point that we need to either sit down with the police or sit down with our kids, but we can't be telling them that they don't have to answer the police, and then on the other side tell them they do. You know what I mean? And then telling the police, and police, I know that y'all listening. If somebody asks you why you pull them over, I know you don't have to tell them, but for right now, till we find out, you know what I mean, we get love back in our kids' hearts, and just tell them why you pulling them over, man. Let's don't give nobody a reason to get an attitude and to escalate into something that shouldn't have never been to start with. And I don't want no kid hear you saying, you don't have to answer the police. Because right now, the police, you know what I mean, they'll walk away, and because if they pull you over and they got a reason, they don't have to tell you from what the law reads. So we got to find a way to fix that. And then the other thing is, I'm sure as a voter, you've called down there to complain about the crime, about your car being broken into. That's who they go. That's who they listen to. They listen to the older generation that vote. You know what I mean? That's tired of the crime. So that's how they design. That's how they set the police up that morning. And there ain't no way that I know that woman. There's too many people said it, or whoever that his leader that morning said we gonna at check before he went out. We stopping the crime out there. Stop anybody that's walking after 2:00 or whatever was said. I don't know the exact word, but something was said. And like you said, and Greg, and the other fellow, the cop, probably, he may be, he may have been raised by Don. We don't know, and so you don't know somebody's heart. But we got to make a connect between when a police pull somebody over, whether they gonna tell them why they getting pulled over, because a lot of it escalates from that. Why are you stopping me?
And of all the things that have been said today, I do believe that, that's a reasonable approach. The police stop you, give me your license, give me this. Well, just tell me why you stopped me. And I got to give you my stuff anyway, but just tell me why you stopped me.
Okay, I went live last week. I was going home from my job.
Yeah.
They pulls me over. First thing they put your hands out the window. Put my hands out the window. What I'm doing? For my tag. It's on live. Put your hands out the window. It's the command. It's the pitch in the voice.
Yeah, got to take a break. We'll be back. It's 8:42 in the morning. But again, maybe the police chief can, I don't know, tell. Because I think that's a reasonable question. Why did you pull me over? I just think that's a reasonable question to ask. We'll be back.
When they took my
WSFA First Alert Weather Forecast on News Radio 1440.
Josh Johnson here. A bright, beautiful, and pleasant Monday underway. After a chilly start this morning, temperatures will rebound into the mid-60s later on.
Call Dixie, and it's done. CallDixie.com.
He is the voice of the conservative millennials.
The president is going to have to stand fast.
The Ben Shapiro Show.
They're not going to be willing to keep the government shut down.
Tomorrow at 3 p.m. on News Radio 1440. Depend on it.
By the river, in a little tent, like the river I've been running ever since.
Oh, I'll tell you.
It's been a long.
Anyway, 860-1440 is the number you want to give us a call. I guess it's Mr. William Boyd, who is at the trial of Mr. A.C. Smith. I would imagine it's not over yet, though. I would imagine there's going to be an appellate process and things of that nature. I do have one question for the DA, though, but I'm not going to get into that right now. But I got a question for the brother. He showed us that he can be tenacious when he needs to be, when he wants to be, but not so if it's politically not that advantageous. That's one of them.
But I'm disagreeing. I do think that the charging officer was the ABI. The ABI is the one that actually charged. They gave the charge of murder. Daryl Bailey officer did not give the charge of murder.
But wait a minute, the ABI don't charge. I mean, they can charge you, but they don't bring you to trial.
They the charging officer. They right. The one said this guy. They the one charged him with murder.
No.
But let me say this. Let me thank Fred Bell, Reverend Sink, and Dave's a fan. They have contributed on the trip, and those people like Clifford Hunter, my family, Mary Thomas, and Larry Thomas. We was the one that I think we took like 22 people down there the first day. Then the number got smaller, but we had to feed the people every day and da-da-da this and da-da-da that. Now, crimes in all neighborhood, crime may not get reported all the time. We have crime all over Montgomery. So I don't want nobody to never think that West Montgomery is lit with crime. Some people just don't report some of the small crimes that take place in their neighborhood. If you check the 911 calls, I can't tell you how many 911 calls that went to the Montgomery Police Department like last night and from what area, but the data shows that. Now, if you stay in West Montgomery, I highly recommend that you need to be if you ever get pulled over by a police officer, and we have some good police officers, just go live. Just go live all the time. Go live, and I just hope one day that they make dash cams in everybody's car so we will all know the truth, because police will lie. They will lie quick, fast, in a hurry. Now, I say this.
But no, we'll lie too.
Yeah, but Cameron, but let the truth. But I don't know why I cheat this on numerous occasions. At nighttime in East Side, they run at night with blue light, with the little blue lights on. When the police officer in their car, they ride with the blue lights on. I think it look more professional. People know that they are being patrolled. But on the west side, they disguise. They unmarked car. There's no blue lights. Only time you see a blue light, they actually running. They pulling somebody over. And I just got a problem there. I feel safe knowing we need law and order. I feel safe knowing that the blue lights are riding in West Montgomery just like they riding in East Montgomery. They trying to deter crime or decrease crime. They deterring it from over there. It seems like it's coming over here. So they need to light those lights up at nighttime like they do on the east side.
Good morning. Who's this?
Good morning.
Yes.
Mr. Elton, I don't think the MPD, when they have on their application, that they state that they're hiring a killer. But I think they're hiring people to serve and protect the public. And if you want to be a killer, I think Uncle Sam, all the branches of the military hire professional killers. That's what their job is. Go to war.
You're not a professional killer in the military. You're taught how to defend yourself, of course, and how to defend your property that you've been in charge of. But I don't think the military wants. If we got somebody who wants to kill, that's probably not the guy you want.
But if you most certainly do not want them on the MPD roster, because we do not need that. Because here in school we teach our little kids pre-K up that the police is there to serve, protect you. If you
that's a lie. That's a lie. That's a lie. That's a lie. The police are not there to. Police are not there to protect you.
If you're in harm's way as a child, we teach children.
I got you.
You can call on the police.
You can call on them.
You shouldn't be afraid of them.
them, but in certain neighborhoods we couldn't teach that.
Right. Well,
so that's what I'm trying to tell you. We're teaching one theory and we're practicing another, Kevin.
I hear you, but every policeman, every soldier, every saint has a potential to kill.
We know that, but we don't need to make sure. We need to make sure we don't hire one that has that potential to do that and harm the public. And that's the reason I keep saying we need psychological testing of everyone with a gun.
Well, they do that.
Public or private.
They do have psychological testing.
If your brain is wrapped right.
Yeah. All right, appreciate it. Like I said, though, any given day, any of us can be diagnosed with a mental disease. Because some days I don't have it no more. Because especially depending on what happened. Good morning, you're on there. All right, go on. What did you learn from all of this? I mean, what did you learn from it?
I learned that for years that our rights has been violated. That we do have rights out there while we in our cars or we walk on the street. I learned that that they still running the 1930 or 1940 scare tactic that people just don't know the law, so they're gonna treat you any kind of way.
Would you tell your daughters if the police said, stop them to ask them a question, not to stop?
Well, I hope the police just follow the law. If the supervisor or the chief need to tell people, don't be out there just stopping people just because. I hope the police officer tell that so my daughter won't have to answer to a police who's stopping her.
But you would suggest that they continue to walk and not stop.
She need to know the law. If you're not doing nothing wrong. Okay. If they tell you you're doing something wrong, then you need to comply. But if you're not doing nothing, like I said, they pull me over all the time.
What if they just want to ask her a question? Did you see somebody? Did you notice anything going wrong?
And the approach. And it's okay. Now, if you approach me in a negative tone, and then I'm gonna be resistant. But it's the approach. The approach will mean a lot.
Okay. Good morning, on air.
Yes, I'd like to make one point.
Go ahead.
Police departments have responsibilities to train and weed out and charge the ones that are not prior to them committing a crime or killing someone. Now, the police department have put on programs, but the people that goes to attend them is the one who don't need it. You don't see them sending over that to the training centers. The ones that always talking about shooting and beating somebody up in the streets out there, when they go over doing those things against people. They don't have to go. They find ways to get out of it. And when they get in it, they're not recommended.
And I hear you, but I think anybody on any given day can have a mental lapse. Anybody.
Justification.
Good morning. I'm not justifying. I'm just saying you can have one. You can have one.
Hey, Kevin.
Yes.
Oh, my thing is, I teach my children whenever the police pull you over, just be well-mannered and don't ask them any questions. Simple reason being, the man has a gun. It don't even have to be the police. It could be you. If you got a gun, it's yes sir and no sir.
Yeah.
Because you got dubs on me then, but you're courting. You have an issue with them.
Greg Gunn said yes sir. I'm quite sure Greg Gunn said it don't make a difference. Greg Gunn said yes sir. I'm willing to bet you. Me knowing Greg, he said yes sir.
Hey, appreciate it. Let me take one more call. Good morning, on there.
Good morning, Kevin. Mr. Boyd, how y'all doing?
Good morning.
Interesting show. Kevin, I think I've been listening to the show. It's interesting, but I think the callers is getting it mixed up with a white and black thing. I've been stopped by white policemen and was treated real nice. I've been stopped by black policemen and was treated rude as hell. So it's not
I got some of that too.
It's not a white-black thing. I think it's a blue thing. Thank you.
Okay. Appreciate it. And don't forget our shows were brought to you in part by State Farm. Mr. Chris Stallworth, 277-9789 is his number. Listen, our time is up. I'll put this on podcast so we can listen to it later on.
20 years. Shoot for 20 years. Go for the Mac Center. 20 years.
Y'all have a good day. It is Thanksgiving weekend, isn't it?
Yes.
Have a great day.
Bye.
Now, your WSFA 12 News Update on News Radio 1440.
Good morning. I'm Tanya Terry in the WSFA 12 newsroom. The suspect in the shooting death of the beloved sheriff of Lowndes County is in jail this morning. Sheriff Big John Williams dedicated more than 40 years of his life to the people of Lowndes County through his service. The suspect, 18-year-old William Chase